Hi guys, and welcome to another Python tutorial. In this video, I'll show you how to use SQLite database basic commands in Python. First, we'll import SQLite. So import SQLite 3, and then we'll create a logger to log any exceptions that will happen. So import logging, and then underscore logger is going to be equal to logging.getLogger. And then we're going to give it the name. So underscore underscore name underscore underscore. Okay, now we'll start by creating the database connection and the cursor that will be used to execute different SQL queries. So con is going to be equal to SQLite3.connect. And then we're going to give it our database name. I'm going to name my database persons.db. And then we're going to create our cursor, which is going to be equal to con.cursor. Okay, let's now create a method that would create our persons table. So def create underscore table. And in a try except block, we're going to execute the create table query. So we're going to try to execute it and accept exception as E, and if there is any exception, then we're going to log it. So underscore logger dot error. Then we're going to give it our E, which is the exception object. Okay, so right now we're going to try to create the table. So cursor dot execute, and this execute function actually takes the SQL query string and the query parameters as well. So what I'm going to type in here is create table if not exists, and the name of our table is going to be persons. Okay, we're going to have an integer ID, which is going to be the primary key, and it's going to be auto incremented. So ID, and then the type integer, and then primary key, and then auto increment. Okay, the next thing is going to be the name. So name, it's going to be text, and it's going to be not null. And then the age is going to be integer and not null as well. And then the email is going to be text. And then finally the phone is going to be text. Okay, so this is the create table query. And once we execute or successfully execute this query, we want to actually commit the changes to our database. So what we're gonna do is actually type con.commit, and that's it. Okay, so now we're done with our create table method. We'll now create a method to print all the records in persons table. So I'm gonna type def print underscore all underscore records. And in a try except block as well, we're going to accept exception as E underscore logger dot error E. Okay, what we're going to do is cursor dot execute, and then we're going to select all the records from the persons table. So select asterisk to select all the columns from persons. Okay, so this is our query. If there is an exception, we just want to return as well from the method. Otherwise, then we are good to print the retrieved records. Okay, so right now I'm going to assign the result of this query to a variable. So res is going to be equal to cursor.fetchAll. So fetchAll method returns a list of all the results. So if not res, then this means that the table is empty. So I'm going to print out the table is empty, right? Okay, else then we are having some results. So what we need to do is actually print those results. So for p underscore ID, which is person ID, p underscore name, p underscore age, and p underscore email, and p underscore phone in res, what we're gonna do is print out these values. So print, I'm gonna use string formatting for that. So the ID is going to be p underscore ID. Just put a space right in here, and then a new line, and then the name is gonna be p underscore name, and then a new line, and then the age is going to be p underscore age, and then a new line, email, p underscore email, new line, and finally the phone. So phone, and then p underscore phone, and then a new line. Okay, so now we're done with printing all the records. Moving on to the next method. It's actually a method to insert a record in our into our persons table. So def insert underscore record. So it's gonna take the p underscore name, which is the person's name, the p underscore age, p underscore email, and p underscore phone. And what we're gonna do is also in a try except block, try, and then we're going to accept exception as e underscore logger error e cursor dot execute, and then we're going to execute our insert query. So insert into persons, we're going to insert into the columns name, age, email, phone, and we're going to insert values which are well, actually here I'm going to use placeholders for the variables, so, or I mean for the parameters of the query. So I'm just going to write here a question mark, and then comma, question mark, question mark, question mark. So we're having a question mark for each column that we're having right here, and then we're going to substitute these question mark or these question marks with our list of parameters that we're going to provide right in here. So the first parameter is p underscore name, and then p underscore age, and then p underscore email, and then email, and then p underscore phone. Okay, so now we're done with the insert record. Okay, this should be insert record function. And moving on to the next method that we're having, it's going to be updating an existing record. So def update underscore record, which is going to take the p underscore ID, which is actually the person's ID that we're going to edit, and then p underscore name, p underscore age, p underscore email, p underscore phone, right? Okay, so I'm just gonna copy this from here, paste it right here, and we're going to actually change this query. So I'm going to remove this. So what we need to do is actually update the persons table. So update persons, set, we're going to set the name to a new name. I'm going to also use here placeholders for the parameters. Age is going to be equal to question mark, and email is going to be equal to question mark, and finally phone is going to be equal to question mark. So we're going to update the records where ID is equal to ID is equal to question mark, which is actually the PID that we're going to use. Okay, so the PID or the ID is going to be the last parameter that we're going to add right in here, and then we are good to go. Okay, moving on to the last method that we're going to implement, which is going to delete a record from the person's table based on an ID. So def delete underscore record, which is going to take p underscore ID, which is going to be the person's ID that we're going to want to delete. So let me just copy this from here, paste it here. So we're going to change these parameters. So what we need to do is actually delete from persons where ID is equal to question mark, and this question mark is going to be the p underscore ID. Okay, so now we are done with our methods. Let's now actually use them to see or demonstrate how different SQL queries can be done to our database. So first of all, we're going to call the create table method to create our table, and then we're going to print all the records. So we're expecting the actually this message to print. The table is empty because right now we have no records in our table. And we'll start by inserting some records. So insert record, Bassel, age is 25, and email is admin@basseltech.com. And then the phone, I'm just going to use dummy phone number. So maybe zeros, a bunch of zeros. And then let's insert another record, which is going to be, for example, John. And the age maybe 43. The email maybe john@example.com. And then the phone, another dummy phone. Okay, so right now we have two records into our database. So what we need to do is just print all records again to see or to print out all the records. We should have Bassel and John. Okay, so let's now try to, for example, delete the first record, which is Bassel. So apparently the ID of Bassel is going to be 1 and John is going to be 2. So I'm just going to invoke the delete record method and then give it the ID 1 to delete the record of Bassel. And then let's print all the records to demonstrate the changes. And let's now update the John record with the Bassel's info. So what I'm gonna do is actually just type here update record, and then we're gonna give it the ID of John, which is gonna be 2, and then give it the name, which is gonna be Bassel, the age 25, the email admin@basseltech.com, and the phone, just the dummy number. Okay, so right now we updated the John record, which is record ID 2. Let's print all the records to demonstrate the changes, and then I think we're gonna be good to go. The last thing to do is actually close our connection. So con.close, and then we are good to go. Okay, let's now run our program and test it out. So what I'm going to type here in the console is python main.py, and then hit the enter button. Okay, let's now have a look on the result. So first of all, in this print records, it printed out the table is empty. And then we inserted the Bassel record and the John record, and then we printed all the records. So right here we have record of ID 1 and Bassel and all the details, and the other one for John as well. And then we deleted the first record and then printed all the records again. So we only here have the record for John, and then we updated the John's record with Bassel's details. So it's updated right here in the last print all records method. And right here we have the our person's database that was created for us. Okay, so that's it guys for this quick tutorial, and see you in the next one.